Hey guys, what's up? Just gonna adjust the camera here for a second. And I want to do this because I may not have time in the next 2 days. You know, I work tomorrow at 8:30, I work till 4:45, and then the next day it's a full 8-hour day. And then I'll be gone on the weekend, well at least on Saturday, because we're celebrating my, we're celebrating my third youngest nephew's birthday. Or third oldest nephew's birthday. He's going to be 12, so we're going to the beach. So anyway, just thought I'd come on here while I got the time and give you my thoughts and predictions on the events that will be happening this weekend, which is NXT Takeover Toronto and then SummerSlam the following night. So let's take a look at NXT Takeover Toronto. It's only got 5 matches as far as we know. They could add another if they want. But if the main event is 3 stages of hell, 2 out of 3 falls, then it pretty much will make up for the lack of an additional match or so. But let's take a look at the matches first, shall we? And a lot's going to be kind of said about some of these matches, like exactly what direction they'll go in. So the first match I think is going to be the one that kicks it off, and that is the, well, I don't know what match is going to kick it off, but I will say that the match listed here first, or last if you look on Wikipedia, is Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai, the new heel Io Shirai. Basically the Io Shirai that was in Japan is more of a lone wolfness, or wolfette, if you will, more of a lone wolfette. Doesn't need anybody. She's her own woman. She's badass. She'll kick your head off, kind of deal. It's Candice LeRae and Io Shirai. Now, this is going to be a good match. I'll put it this way: if you're a hardcore wrestling fan and you've seen what both these ladies can do individually on the independents, against each other, not against each other, whatever, then you know you're in for a treat. The question is, though, does WWE, NXT, if you will, put Io over Candice? That's a good question, because apparently what it looks like to me is they're trying to build Candice back up now. They're trying to build her up to what she, honestly, in my opinion, what she should have been. A top female athlete in the company. Or in the brand. She should have been that off the bat. She has a great reputation and everything, and people expected her to be in this position of kind of being a challenger for the NXT Championship or NXT Women's Championship. So I would expect a good matchup here. Now I do understand that they want to probably build up Io Shirai as a top badass anti-heel, anti-hero, don't trust anybody, kind of take no BS from anybody kind of person. She's her own deal. She says she don't need anybody. So it's going to be really interesting exactly what direction they go here. Because honestly, and I say this with all due respect, I can already see people like Alex, the Lex Man, Kyle Loves Wrestling, and several others, just to name a few, Solomonster, coming out and kind of maybe criticizing the match, even if it's very good, and saying, oh, what was the point of turning Io Shirai heel if you're going to have her lose in her first real big match as a heel to Candice LeRae? I can hear some people already kind of criticizing that. But then again, people might also be in support of Candice winning, because again, she needs to be built up as this big time threat in the future in this main event, unless they're planning to call her up before the year's out. So Candice and Io is kind of up in the air. But here's the thing, I don't know what they're gonna do or how they're gonna book it, but if I'm WWE, especially those at NXT, honestly, my decision, have them both get disqualified. It doesn't hurt either one, keeps them strong, and it keeps the feud going, and you can incorporate that into something I'm going to talk about next. So my decision, No DQ. My decision, DQ finish or count out finish. Best way to keep them strong. No contest, basically. And that should bleed into what I'm going to talk about here next, and that is the NXT Women's Championship. It is Shayna Baszler, the champion, and a lot of people pretty much have... How do I put this? A lot of NXT hardcore fans and hardcore wrestling fans in general are like, enough's enough. Get this belt off Shayna. Just because she's buddies with Ronda Rousey doesn't mean you make Ronda happy by keeping the belt on Shayna. Because I can already probably tell people are thinking, man, what does Shayna have on a lot of people that's making her keep the belt? Anyway, it's Shayna Baszler defending against Mia Yim, a.k.a. formerly known as Jade in Impact Wrestling / TNA. This ought to be a good match. They've been silently building up on television and at house shows, live events. They've been building up Mia as a threat, as someone that can actually go to war and probably give Shayna a run for her money. But apparently, I think everybody pretty much knows that right now, the way things have been going, Shayna's going to probably walk out with the title because she's going to have her buddies at ringside or accompany her. I don't know about that. This might be the one time maybe where the decision is Shayna comes out with them and then they get tossed to the back like, you ain't pulling this crap now. So I don't know. I mean, right now, booking wise and decision wise, it looks like it's still going to favor Shayna Baszler. But if they really want to get Shayna up to the main roster, I would say get the belt off Shayna, put it on Mia Yim, because then you could probably do a triple threat down the line, or maybe a fatal four-way. Triple threat being Iro, Mia, and Candice LeRae, or fatal four-way, Mia, Iro, Candice, and Bianca Belair. Easy for me to say. But that's how I think you could probably do it. So, to me, right now, I will agree. I will be real with you guys. It still points in favoritism of Shayna. But they could go either way with this. Right now, like I said, favoritism is towards Shayna. But if I'm WWE, I put the belt on Mia. Let Shayna go to the main roster. Let her challenge Becky or Bayley. And then let Iro, Mia, and Candice, and maybe Bianca Belair, easy for me to say, it's late, I'm tired a little bit, but Bianca Belair challenge for the championship. That's what I think they need to do. I think if they get the belt, because honestly that's the direction they need to do. They get the belt, if they book it to where Shayna loses and Mia becomes champion, then you gotta have Bianca, Candice, Iro, and Mia fighting for the title. Do not. This is what I'm gonna put it out right now. I know people are thinking this is gonna happen, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Do not let this happen. Do not let Shayna Baszler, with all due respect, even though she's Ronda Rousey's buddy, do not let Shayna Baszler pull an Asuka here in NXT and retire as champion and have the adulation and love from everybody in the back. Because you know what's going to happen? People are going to piss on that. So if I'm WWE, I don't do that. I don't pull that. I get the belt off her, and I get it off her hopefully by SummerSlam, because if you want someone that's going to draw people in for SmackDown Live on Fox, Shayna being one of the four horsewomen of MMA and UFC could do it. Alright, next matchup, we have triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. We have, and I'm just checking something here for a second, folks. We have the Velveteen Dream defending against Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne. This ought to be a good match because all three can really go. Patrick Clark as Velveteen Dream has proven he's come a long way since just being Patrick Clark, and has really become something that fans can get behind. Pete Dunne is an overall, let's be honest, you could let's be honest about Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne is a guy that he can pull the most heelish of things or the most antagonistic of things, and people will still cheer him. Basically, he's more of a let my actions speak louder than my words kind of deal. And Roderick Strong, he's long overdue for a singles title in NXT. Yes, he was tag team champ when he was part of Undisputed Era, but that was kind of because of the Freebird rule they went by. So, I don't know. This is going to be a real toss-up. I mean, if you want to make history and you want to put some value on that NXT North American title, give it to Pete Dunne. Give it to Pete Dunne. Let him run with it. Let him, if they want to, replicate, or at least try to replicate his run with the WWE United Kingdom title. Let him do that. Let him do that. Let him replicate his run, or at least try to replicate his run with the UK Championship, with the NXT North American title, and you can make history. The story is great. The story's right there to be written. Pete Dunne, the first ever North American champ, the first ever UK champion, well, not the first ever UK champion, but basically you can write it out to where he could be the second. As far as I know, he's going to be. Is he the second? Let me check something. Would he be? Let me check something here, guys. Okay, he would be the fifth. But anyway, you can make history by having Pete Dunne be the only guy to be the NXT North American champion and the United Kingdom champion. Think about that. That's a story in itself. A guy that's been champion for 2 different continents. It could work. But then again, you got Roderick Strong, and this could play into what happens later on the night too. Roderick Strong, part of Undisputed Era, to me, should get this singles championship, and there's a reason. There was a promise, let's not forget, that was made earlier this year by the Undisputed Era. That promise is all of them would have the gold. So my prediction is this. They're going to go 2 ways. One, Pete Dunne is going to make history. They're going to go the historical way with Pete Dunne winning it and becoming the only superstar to be the UK champion and the NXT North American champion. Or they're going to start tonight by fulfilling the promise Undisputed Era made and have Roderick Strong become champion. So they can go 2 ways. Either Pete Dunne, they'll either go with Pete Dunne or Roderick Strong. I just don't think Velvet's going to walk out with the title because I think Velvet is heading to the main roster. And I think that's an obvious truth. I think anybody watching this would agree with that. Now, the next match is for the tag team. The next match is for the NXT tag team titles. It's the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish taking on the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. This is going to be a good match, but the fact that they've been showcasing the Street Profits on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, it's a foregone conclusion. The Street Profits are going to lose. They're going to put on a great match, but in the end, the Undisputed Era is getting the tag team titles back. It'll be like the second reign, I think, for Fish and O'Reilly. But yeah, they're getting the belts back. And Street Profits, this will be the last match in NXT. Are going to head to the main roster and officially be part of either the SmackDown or the Raw tag team divisions. That'll help those divisions out. So I predict the Undisputed Era to walk out with the NXT tag team titles. Next up, of course, is the 3 Stages of Hell match, 2 out of 3 falls. For the NXT Championship, it's Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano. And the first, and basically as of right now, 2 out of the 3 fall stipulations have been named. Johnny Gargano has named the first fall as a street fight. That's from what I understand. Well, Adam Cole is going to go with a regular singles match for the second fall. So that's going to be a weird transition, going from hardcore match to a regular wrestling match. Now, the added caveat is that William Regal will decide the third fall if they go to it. So the question is, who's going to win this obvious classic? Because it will be. I don't know. I think, honestly, Johnny Gargano has done everything he could on NXT. And I think, obviously, it's time for him to go to the main roster. Whether or not he'll be part of SmackDown or Raw or 205 Live, that's another story. I think he'll suit better on Monday Night Raw since Heyman's there. I think that'll be a better fit. Adam Cole, on the other hand, is also in that position to be sent up. And when you think about it, it could put a new spin on the Undisputed Era. I'm just saying. So I don't know. And then you also got the reports that Tommaso Ciampa's coming back. So whether or not Ciampa sides with Gargano or turns on him again, who knows? That could play a factor as well. So this one's kind of up in the air. But whoever loses is main roster bound. There's no doubt about it. Alright. So next up, let's talk about SummerSlam itself. There are 10 matches on SummerSlam. 10. Might be 11 or 12 if you add what could be on the kickoff show. But 10 matches as of right now. So let's talk about the first match, shall we? It is for the Cruiserweight Championship, Drew Gulak against Oney Lorcan. Oney Lorcan, who's part of a tag team in NXT. Yeah, he's part of a tag team in NXT with Danny Burch, I think. I think that's, who's in there? I think it's Danny Burch. Hold on for a sec. Let's take a look at the roster here. I think it's Danny Burch, Lorcan and Burch, I think, are a tag team. Anyway. So he's part of that tag team. He's known as the Star Destroyer. So this match with him and Drew Gulak ought to be a hard-hitting one. But I think Drew Gulak's going to win. He's going to retain. Because they're building somebody. They got somebody in mind for Drew Gulak. I don't know who it is. But they got somebody in mind. But yeah, I think Drew Gulak is going to beat Oney Lorcan to retain the championship. If they give it to Oney Lorcan, that would be a surprise. Next matchup is one of the present versus the past matchups. It's Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus. Everybody speculated this match was going to happen when, Charlotte came out and said that, hey, I don't have an opponent for SummerSlam. What's going on? I'm the queen of all eras kind of deal. So Trish, ironically, was a guest on the King's Court on SmackDown. And she accepted the match. And they've been building up to it for the past few weeks. And the only question is, who wins? Well, here's my thought. The obvious choice has got to be Charlotte. This here would be a passing of the torch kind of deal. This would be a passing of the torch. Like, here you have Trish Stratus, who's looked at as the greatest female WWE wrestler in the past 20 years. almost 20 years. 7-time champion. And still looked at as basically the be-all, end-all when it comes to women's wrestling in WWE. The one that, unless you beat her, you're not who you say you are. You are not the queen. You are not the greatest. You're not this or that. So, to me, the obvious choice people would say is Charlotte, so that way they pass the torch to Charlotte, and Charlotte becomes the be-all, end-all of the women's division. That would be one thing. But it's in her hometown. But this is where what I'm trying to say, this is where it gets confusing. It's in Trish's hometown. WWE has been known to make people lose in their hometown, but they don't really make legends lose in their hometowns that much, unless it's to build to something. I mean, I know people will pick out what happened with Kurt Angle and being attacked by Bray Wyatt this past Monday as something like, oh, well, WWE don't care, period. But here's the thing. Every time Trish has been back, she has rarely, and I mean rarely, lost. If at all. And she's never lost, as far as I know, in her hometown. I mean, the last time she was in her hometown for a singles match, she beat Lita in what was, at the time, her final match with the company for the women's title. So the question is, who goes over? Again, most predictable and logical, as people would put it, would be Charlotte. Pass the torch. She becomes the be-all, end-all. But on the more respectful way, you would say it's Trish. And maybe you build something out of that with Charlotte. Like maybe Charlotte, from a story perspective, starts to realize that she might be the queen, but even queens fall from grace. And maybe from a story perspective, it opens Charlotte up and makes her realize perhaps there's something missing, and what's missing is why I'm not on top anymore. So they could work with Charlotte. So even in defeat, they could build something for Charlotte. They could build something off of this for Charlotte, even in defeat. So to me, it's up in the air. It's up in the air, but like I say, logically, it's got to be you got to go with Charlotte if you're passing the torch. But respectfully, from a legend perspective, you go with Trish, especially if it's in her hometown. All right, another match that's past versus the present. It's Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. Pretty much Goldberg wins. That's about it. I mean, they might have a decent match. Like, maybe Ziggler will have Goldberg go for a few minutes before he gets squashed. Because I think Goldberg's one of those guys that even at his age, he could still go, but he can only go if he has certain opponents. And I think Dolph's one of those opponents that could do it. And I heard what the Lex Man had to say. That this is the match now he's looking forward to because he wants Ziggler to sell beyond what Shawn Michaels did for Hulk Hogan. We'll have to wait and see, because if he does that, it might be a different outcome than... Because if Ziggler does that, it could be a different outcome for him compared to Shawn Michaels. I'm just saying. But yeah, Ziggler's going to lose to Goldberg. Then the next match, AJ Styles against Ricochet for the United States Championship. This match is going to be good. These guys had a good matchup a couple of times on Raw already, so you can only imagine the kind of match they're going to have at SummerSlam. Yes, AJ beat Ricochet for the belt. I think, what was that? Extreme Rules, I think. He beat him. But he beat him thanks to interference after having a good match. So I think obviously they're going to have another good one. The question is, do they keep the belt on AJ? I don't know. I mean, Paul Heyman likes Ricochet. But obviously Paul Heyman likes the homage to the Bullet Club with the OCs. The only club, if you will. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, obviously, if you want to keep the momentum with the OCs, you go with AJ Styles. But if you want to build Ricochet up to this main event status, you go with Ricochet. So This is a toss-up. We'll have to wait and see, but either way, it's going to be a good matchup. Either way. Alright. Next match is Kevin Owens. Oh, not Kevin. But the next match is Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. The new Bray Wyatt, the Fiend Bray Wyatt, the fire plug Funhouse Bray Wyatt. Or the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt, I should say. The Fiend Bray Wyatt. The question is, does Bray win here? They've been building him up by having him attack a lot of people. So the question is, does he continue that momentum? You would say he has to. But this is where it's going to get a little bit unfortunate. You see, I see a pattern going on here with WWE. Lately, they've been having him attack legends. You cannot tell me that WWE and mostly Vince McMahon are not seriously considering having Bray lose. You can't tell me they're not seriously considering that, because they are. Why would they have him attack legends? Whether that's his own consent and he's gotten the approval of a Mick Foley and a Kurt Angle to do so, you cannot tell me that they don't let him do this if they don't have something if they're not getting something in return. So my personal opinion, Bray Wyatt needs to win, keep the momentum up, yes, let Finn Balor go out, and take a vacation, take a break for a few months, come back. Come back and get his revenge then. Because if they go with what I think they're going to do, you pretty much have killed the Fiend / Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt before he really got the start. That's what's going to happen if you go the direction. If WWE goes, if Vince McMahon and the WWE goes in the direction that I believe or fear that they're going to go, even if the end result is Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, beating up on Finn Balor afterwards, which writes Balor off for a couple months, if they go with the decision to have Balor go over Wyatt, and maybe you have Angle and Mick Foley come out to get payback, you're pretty much killing the gimmick before it gets a real start. And the only reason you would kill it is because your shareholders and stockholders are too afraid that it might be too scary for kids. Excuse me. Getting a little worked up there. But that's basically what it would be. You'd basically be killing it before it gets started, because your shareholders and stockholders are like, oh no, you can't have that on television. You have to have him lose. That's too scary. Do you understand? Or we will sue. Or we would take money on you. You'll be broke. So honestly, they need to have Bray Wyatt go over. Yes, give him a good matchup, but let him look dominant in the end. No interference from legends. Let him win. And build that momentum. Because if you have him lose, thanks to interference from the legends, and then maybe afterwards, in the back or in the ring, he attacks Balor and takes Balor out, writes him off television with an injury because of the attack, then yeah, it still keeps momentum strong for him maybe, but in a sense, you have slowly put the first dagger into the character's chest before it gets a chance to really come alive and be something. So Bray Wyatt has to go over. End of story. Alright, next matchup. Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon. Stipulation, if Owens loses, he'll be forced to quit WWE. You see, this one right here, this matchup here is what really gets a lot of people confused. Yes, Shane McMahon lost to Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. He took the pinfall, the tombstone, from Undertaker last month. But that's not enough, right? It's still not enough. So the question is, how does this match go? Well, predictably, it's got to go Kevin Owens' way, because he did take the go-home show beating, so it's got to go his way. And the only way it goes his way is you have a lot of superstars come out and make sure Shane does not win, but also make sure that there's no interference from McIntyre or Elias or whoever, so that Shane doesn't have a way to weasel out a win or victory. And honestly, he's got to be written out. Well, not written out, but you honestly got to give Shane more of a reason to want to get back at Owens. You know, maybe after SummerSlam, Shane loses, Shane gets furious and says, okay, fine, Kevin, you wanna screw me? I'll force you to put your career on the line every night or every week. Doesn't matter against what opponent. I'll take a page out of my dad's book. You're gonna put your career on the line. That could be a story right there where Kevin fights for his career every week, and that the only way Shane and that perhaps if they do it, the only way Shane, abolishes that stipulation is if Kevin admits defeat. I'm just saying. So, to me, Kevin Owens has got to win. That's the most obvious projection they're going with. And I think the best way to do it is to have superstars that Kevin has talked about and other superstars or whoever come out and basically say, Shane, you get back in that ring, you get your ass kicked because we're sick and tired of you. So, that to me is the only way. So to me, that's the direction they should go in. But overall, depending on what they do, Kevin Owens has got to win. He's got to. Because if they put Shane over, it's like, what's the point anymore? And I think, obviously, the outcome here is going to be a result of Fox saying enough's enough with this kid. Alright. The next match after that is Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. WWE Championship. There's rumors going around that Randy's got a neck injury that he has to get looked at. May sideline him. May probably end his career prematurely. But I don't. So obviously, with that report coming around, you would think Kofi's got to win, especially with the story that they're building. That Kofi needs this win. That despite being the champ and throwing out the challenge, he needs to beat Randy. That basically he needs to prove to Randy Orton that he is everything that Randy prevented him from being. So, to me, this is going to be a good match either way, because both always have chemistry. I remember recording, this is the honest truth, I remember recording that Monday Night Raw several years ago when they were in Madison Square Garden. I remember recording that, and I have it somewhere. So, to me, this is going to be a good match. If they put the belt on Randy, okay, fine. He's 14-time champion. What would be the reason? The only reason I think they would put it on Randy is either his neck is not as bad as people are reporting, and they want someone that's a recognizable face to be the champ going on the Fox. That's the only thing I can think of. And that's good from a business standpoint. But I think Kofi does need to win this. To obviously prove he can beat Randy, that he can beat someone like a Randy Orton, especially in a big match situation. So it's kind of a toss-up, but I'm more in favor of Kofi winning. But if Randy wins, I'll be cool with it, because I can see from a business standpoint why they would want to do it, especially with SmackDown going to Fox. Alright, next match is for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley against Ember Moon. Oh, this one I think is going to be a great matchup. But unfortunately, I just don't see Ember Moon winning. I mean, there are reports right now, whether you believe anything that comes out of RingsideNews.com, Pro Wrestling Insider, Brad Shepard, Dave Meltzer, whoever, whether you believe anything they say, it sounds like Vince McMahon is not in favoritism of Ember Moon. It's like he just doesn't like her. Depending on if you believe anything they're saying about that. Because, let's be honest, we've heard reports of Vince McMahon not liking this person as they head into the championship match, and that person ended up winning the championship anyway. So the question is the whole oh, Vince doesn't like Ember Moon kind of thing just a bunch of hoopla to paint Vince in a wrong light, just so they think, oh, if we say this, they won't expect Ember to win when she does. I don't know. But I expect a good matchup between the two, and it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up, but again, depending on who you believe, with some of the rumors, you would think it's going to be Bayley that retains. But I think Ember is going to win. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to go Ember Moon here. Ember Moon is going to be SmackDown Women's Champion because, one, you got to look at it from a business perspective. Yes, Bayley walking into SmackDown Live on Fox is great, being champion, but you want something of diversity, right? You want a diversity-like champion. You want to show that you don't have to depend on people that are white or Latino to be your champions, but you can depend on people of other diversities and ethnics and races to lead the charge. And Kofi and Ember, along with Shinsuke maybe, or Mustafa Ali maybe as U.S. champion? You can't get any better than that. You can't. So I'm going to go with Ember Moon because I feel that from a business perspective, that's the direction they need to go. Alright, next match. Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch and Natalya. I think this is going to be a good matchup. It's a submission match, which is rare for the women, but both are submission specialists. To me, Becky has to win. She's on the cover of 2K20. I know some people might say that doesn't mean anything. We've seen that a champion being on the cover of the 2K series game doesn't mean anything because they end up losing. Because even if they are on the cover, they end up losing the championship anyway. I understand that. But to me, I think Becky's got to win. Yeah, she's going to be she's going to be booed out of the building. Possibly. Then again, she's one of those individuals that's universally loved. So I don't know. She might, but if I was to look at a percentage of the audience, I'd say 85%. I'll put it this way: 75% of the fans are going to cheer Natalya. 25% are going to boo. 25% are going to cheer Becky. There's your divide right there. But who wins? And that's a good question. Because if, let's say you're going to have Trish go over Charlotte, then you have to have Becky go over Natalya. So, to me, it's kind of a toss-up. But I'm going to say Natalya loses. She gets put in the armbar, but she doesn't tap. She passes out. You make Natalya stay strong. You keep her strong. You have her pass out. But you also keep an eye on someone. You see, Natalya said something in an interview this past Monday. She said she's going to break Becky's arm. Natalya is not known for breaking arms. But her buddy Ronda Rousey is. See what I'm saying? See what I did there? They could easily have Becky win this. They could have Becky win this match. Natalya passes out. Ronda comes down to the ringside as Becky's celebrating, attacks her, and then tries to break her arm. And then you're off to the races for either Clash of Champions or Survivor Series or Hell in a Cell. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch, Raw Women's Championship. And if it's Hell in a Cell, you could put it in the freaking cell. And it would sell itself. That, to me, is probably the best option they got going. Because if you're having Natalya drop the I'll break your arm saying when she's not known for making arm submissions, that leads to one conclusion: Ronda freaking Rousey. And I hope it leads to maybe a Hell in a Cell match, because that's in Sacramento and I'll buy a freaking ticket to that. I'll request the next day off of work just to go see that, because I would want to see Ronda and Becky Hell in a Cell for the Raw Women's Championship. You gotta, that's obviously what they're building towards. They're building to a series of matches between those two, either at the Clash, Hell in a Cell, and more specifically Survivor Series. Well, maybe not so, but you get the idea. They're building to something between the two. Why would you have Natalya drop that little hint there? I'm just saying. So, I gotta go with Becky because it's gonna, with Natalya passing out from submission, but with an aftermath, but with a post-match attack by Ronda Rousey. And you're building, and then off to the races you go. So, that's what I think is going to happen. And then the next match we have the main event, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, for the Universal Championship. This one's a toss-up. And it's hard to say when it comes to a Brock Lesnar match, right? Because 90% of the time, or 85% of the time, Brock Lesnar... Well, actually, I'll say what I said earlier about Natalya and Becky. I mean, Natalya and Becky and the audience reaction there. Basically, match-wise, 75% of the time, Brock Lesnar wins. So what's the deal? So what's the point of predicting his matches, right? But this goes back to what happened with Kevin Owens earlier. Kevin Owens got beat up badly on SmackDown, the go-home show. And from a traditional standpoint, that means the heel's going to get the comeuppance at the big event where the face and the heel are facing off against each other. So the question is, does Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar and Brock gets his comeuppance just like at WrestleMania? That's a good question. You see, Seth has been saying a lot, but mostly it's been positive for the company. He's been standing up for them. He's been a good soldier. So the question is, does he get rewarded for standing up for them? We don't know. Some might say that Brock doesn't need the belt. And of course he doesn't. So the question is, why does he have it and will he keep it? We don't know. Because here's the thing about these Brock Lesnar championship matches. Most of the time you think he's going to lose, and it looks like they're leading towards that, even after he beats down his opponent to give you sympathy for that opponent and make you believe that opponent has a chance. But in the end, he ends up losing. That opponent ends up losing. So the question is Seth getting all these beatdowns for nothing? We don't know. We don't really know. But I will say this. Whatever they got planned for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, I mean, not WrestleMania, but SummerSlam, whatever they got planned, he's got to look strong. Even if they build up the fact that, Seth is not 100%, he can't really be 100%. They got to figure out a way. Because I think what they need to do is get the belt off Brock, because there is rumors that they want to put Brock on SmackDown in time for Fox. So, get the belt off Brock, give him a month off, let him come back for SmackDown on Fox, let him become part of SmackDown, and maybe, as crazy as it sounds, let him go after the WWE title instead. Because Fox will want Brock to be presented in a way that still lets him appear on television, but he doesn't always have to compete. I'm just saying. So it's up in the air. We'll have to wait and see what they do, because even though Seth being beat down the way he is pretty much points to him winning the title. Nowadays with Brock Lesnar matches, 75% of the time it may look like that, like Brock's going to lose after he beats down somebody, but then he ends up winning. I'm just saying, but we'll have to wait and see what they do. But that's pretty much but overall, excuse me, that's pretty much my take on, that's pretty much my preview, I should say, on SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver. And as you can tell, I kind of printed it out, not on regular paper, but on nice glossy paper as well. So, yeah, might keep that around for a bit. Might keep that around. But yeah, that's pretty much my preview for SummerSlam and NXT Takeover Toronto. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. Stay tuned here on YouTube for the Lexman's preview and maybe OTRS's preview as well, OTRS Central's preview. And let us know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Talk to y'all later. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you've taken your time in watching this.